to gum like 2 inches papers there on where I'm going to fix my pocket, not on the pocket side. Okay, so let's get started. So just like what I did here, I'll place it this here, exactly here. So I'm going to sew like point sew. Remember, I didn't cut this one out. I'm going to sew like point sew here. So let's get started. So I've gone ahead to sew it just like what I did here. Look at it here, and I've top stitch it. I didn't top stitch it together because I want the sewing to be inside. So this is where I top stitch. All right. So I've gone ahead to sew the both parts, the both fronts. Also, I want to iron it now. So I've gone ahead to iron my the pocket, and this is the outcome. So I'm going to sew half inch here. Okay, before I continue sewing, I'm going to fix the flap. Okay, so guys, I'll be showing you the process, don't worry. So before I go ahead to sew it, let me show you. You are going to sew this down, the pocket side down, and then you sew this to this point. When you get to this point, you notch this pocket. Well, after notching it, and then you sew it. Let's do it together. So I've gone ahead to sew it down just like I said, and then I top stitch this and notch this pocket. Not, I didn't notch the knicker itself, I only notch the pocket. So just like what I'm doing, I'm going to put my hand inside the pocket and bring it out. Alright, so from there I'm going to, just like what you see me doing on the screen, alright, just follow that method. Bring it out, then make sure it's aligned properly, then sew it just like you see me sew it like this. So I'll get, okay, so I've gone ahead to bring it out and sew it just like you do see me doing. So I'm going to trim it off now. All right, I'm trimming the one place I've sewn, so I'll take it in now. And you can see is the negative side, so I'm going to sew it like I'm top stitching it. I'm sewing it together to this point. So I'm gonna ahead to do it. So if your one is like this, just like you see me doing here, so you can now continue to do, go ahead to do the second one. So I'm gonna ahead to sew the two sides. Always make sure you trim off your thread while sewing. Whenever you are sewing, make sure you cut off your thread so you can get a neat finishing. All right, so let's continue. I'm going to sew the zipper fly now. You can see I measured 5.5 and I notch it. So from that 5.5, I'm going to sew the half inch like this, the half inch measurement. Okay, I'm going to sew it down from where I notch. I'm going to sew it from here to this place all the way down. So let's continue. So I've gone ahead to sew it just like you see me from where I notch. You can see, so this is what is left. So from here I'm going to sew, this is the zipper fly here. If you have your weaving machine with you, you can make sure you weave it round before you continue. But since it's my trousers and my knicker, alright, I'll do that later because I have weaving machine. So I'll make sure I weave it round, So this is where you are going to face this side. So you're going to put in here. You sew it. You're not sewing the exact half inch. You're going to, let's say it's point. What you have is what you sewn before is 0.5, which is half inch, and what I'm going to sew is just 0.2. Alright, like that. I'm dividing my half inch into two, so I'm going to get 0.2. I'll sew it all the way down. So let's go ahead. So the first thing you need to do, since it's going to be like this, you're going to sew 0.2. You know the zip is going to come out like this. Alright, so I'm going to sew from here I'm going to sew the zip from here like this. You have to be careful when you are sewing it. Just sew the tips, alright. So I've gone ahead to sew it just like I told you, and I didn't actually sew the half inch. That's why you can see the excess here. So all you need to do is just for you to iron the excess, and like this, don't allow it to go very close to the zipper line, alright, and then make sure you sew it down, like you top stitch it just like you see me. You can see top stitch it so we can continue. So I've gone ahead to sew it just like the way I told you, I showed you guys. Okay, so let's go to the other side. All right, let's continue. So after I finish top stitching, I'm going to add the other side to cover it up like this. So I'm not going to leave it like this. All right, so guys, I've gone ahead to sew. You can see this is this side and this is the overlapping side. All right, so I've gone ahead to sew it, and the next thing I'm going to do is to sew this zip. I'm not sewing it together like this before, so I'm going to sew this zip on this first zipper fly. All right, so this is how I'm going to do it. I'll make sure after I finish sewing, I make sure I iron it properly. All right, so just like this, what I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew this zip on top of this, just like you see me doing, excluding the front zipper. So let's go ahead. So I've gone ahead to sew the zipper like this. Look, no, I didn't sew it together. Now I'm going to sew it together. This is the, I sew it like half inch away. So the next thing is just like you see me doing, follow this pattern. All right, allow it to overlap properly. All right, so next thing you're going to do, you're going to sew it all the way. Hmm. So I've gone ahead to sew it just like the way I showed you guys. Please note, when you are sewing it, you have to be careful with this so that you won't give yourself double work. Open this to this side and then do the sewing yourself. You can see, so our zipper fly is ready. So after joining the front and the back, you can go ahead to put your band. All right, so this is how it's been done. So let's continue. So my dart, just like you see me do, like 6 inches as the length of my dart. So this is it. Now I'm going to iron it to this side, iron it to this side. There's a way you iron your dart. You iron it to this side and this one to this side. All right, so after I finish ironing, so I'm going to sew this all the way. I'm going to measure my waist. All right, I'm going to retake my measurement, and whatever it is, we'll adjust it and continue. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to sew my side. I've put the front and the back together, and I've sewn it this side and this side. All right, so now you're going to open it like this and then sew it. When I had to weave it, you can see I didn't join it together to weave. I open it side by side, and just here, just I weaved everywhere. This side, even here. The reason I do this so that when so that it will give me a neat finishing. Alright, so this is it. So after doing that, go ahead and fix your band. Alright. To open, got my paper stick. So just like you see me do like this, measure, the band is 2 inches. So if you fold it like this is my 2 inches band. Alright, so go ahead and cut, let the width, measure your waist circumference, alright, circumference rather, and then measure 5 inches as the width. So from there, after gumming your paper stay just like, or your hair stay anyhow, so first fold half inch. Alright, so the half inch is where you are going to sew inside, like you are going to sew from outside to inside. That's when you're going to get a good finish. Do not sew from outside to inside. Alright, just sew from outside to inside. So just like you see me doing here, for example. So what I mean by sewing from outside to inside is this. Sew from here, and then to this side. Alright, you can see that's not how this is how you are going to sew it. Do not sew from outside. Okay, anyways, so from there, the first one is going to be your the first one is the band. Alright, good afternoon, ma. And the second one is going to be the two. This is the first half here, then you measure 2 inches. This is the 2 inches here. The second folding is the 2 inches. Note. Okay, so when you measure it, make sure you use your iron to press it. You can see I did that as well. Then and the excess you trim it up and use half to cover it, just like this. So this is the one that is going to be inside. After you finish sewing, it will come like this. Then you use this one to cover it. So go ahead and sew your band. Put button, or you put the female hook pants. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something today. So I've gone ahead to sew it, like I said, from outside to inside. Make sure you include this. Okay, so from outside to inside. Alright, so I've not, just like you see me do here. So I'm going to turn it in now. So this is what I'm going to do to get a neat finishing. Alright, so I'm going to, just like where I have the ghetto here, I'll fold it in just like this. I'll make sure it's aligned with the ghetto and then sew this place. I'll go to the other side, the same thing, and do the same thing as well, and I'll cut out the excess. Alright, so after doing it just like this, you turn it and sew it. So let's do it together. So guys, I'm gonna ahead to sew it just like I told you. I turn it, you can see how neatly it is. So I'm going to sew it just like you see me do. This is the inside and this one. So I'm going to sew it from outside. I'll make sure I follow this line. Okay, so after sewing it like that, you can now put your trouser hook, or you do buttonholes and fix in your button. So with this, I hope we are good to go. So this is how it is. This is how it's going to be, and this is your flap. This is our flap. You zip it neatly, and then so this is how it is. I'll go and sew it just like you see me do. So okay, just like this, I'm going to sew it. Alright, so thank you guys. Please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.